This episode is fueled by Frontier Coffee. Family owned, family operated. Fresh roasted coffee inspired by America's Wild West legends. Find Frontier on Facebook, Instagram, and online at frontiercoffee.com. Wake up and be legendary. And now, to the Kensington Corner.
Good morning. Welcome to Kensington Corner. Tom here. Love to welcome back Coach Shelton Stevens, 13 bar. Happy to have you back, baby. How are you?
Yeah, glad to be back. I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yeah, we told Shelton, and same thing I told Nate, man, the last time we did the episode. It was a crazy day, dude. It was studio was shutting down early. They were rushing me out of there. I had 30 minutes to do one episode, 30 minutes to do the other. And I told him when I got off, I said, dude, we'll get you back. Like we 100% will. And now I got the studio at the house. I can do whatever I want. So
yeah.
So yeah, it's been a wild 2 weeks, man. I honestly did not think they were going to shut the studio down, and then everything just went.
Yeah, man. It seems like it's getting worse right now until it gets better. But again, like I told you earlier, I'm living my best life, man. I'm eating good. I'm training. I'm programming. I mean, really, life hasn't changed too much for me. Dude,
I know. I feel bad because I feel sorrow for other people because somebody was saying something the other day and they were like, yeah, man, how, has quarantine affected you at all? I was like, nah. I was like, really. I didn't really leave the house to begin with. So no, not really. Yeah. No, I mean, even for me, man, I think that's the thing too. And that's what, we talked about this before we got on. I'm happy with how people are responding on Instagram because for guys like me and you we could do, garage gym workouts and home workouts because we can build them ourselves off knowledge. A lot of people don't have that, man. And of course I share almost everything you put up. So when you guys were putting up those, the quarantine workouts, dude, I was like, these are money. I was tagging people and I'm like, yeah, you need to, these are things you need to go look at, man.
Yeah. I mean, we try to keep it as basic as possible. First, that's pretty much my philosophy anyway, right? Is keep things simple, man. Like everything's getting so fancy with this technology and the way things are programmed. Like I'm going in the opposite direction. Yeah. Like I'm trying to be as simple as possible. So we wanted to put out some stuff for about a week or two. And then after that, it's like, all right, like you have these to go off as a guide. Get a little creative now. Like, message me if you have any questions. That's why we put out some posts about how to lay out a program, how to do things, stuff like that. But yeah, man, business is still good. People still message me with questions and, we're always here to help out wherever we can.
Yeah. I think, Ben, the big thing is that people right now, you get to a certain point, you're going to go two directions. You're either going to kind of let this thing overcome you and you're just going to, eat and watch TV, or you're going to try to find something to do. When you're a go person and you're being told to, hey, to restrict your time inside, and not be out in society, as in our, genetically, we're tribal people. You want to be around other people. You want to do stuff. And so I've loved seeing in the community, especially it's kind of chilly here today, but it's been kind of nice here lately. All the people that have just been out running, waving, walking dogs. I'm like, man, good for you guys, because at least you're doing something. I'm the same way as you as far as keeping it simple. Is that my thing is that productivity wise, I'm always going to give a positive effect if you're just doing something. If you're just trying, man, you're doing something. That's more than doing nothing at any point.
Yep, absolutely. I was talking to one of my buddies last night for a while, and we were talking about people's attitudes and how they are going about this thing. And you can almost tell the people that are married to their work, right? They're miserable. They're miserable right now. Yeah. They don't enjoy being at home with their families. They don't enjoy, actually being at home and being with their kids. It's like, then it really comes out like, man, maybe you may be spending too much time at work.
Right. Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people put so much time and effort into. My thing has always been this, and I think that we're cut from the same cloth when we talk about how we look at employment and how we look at working for ourselves, and not that I am, unable to work with others or anything like that. I just put a value on my time, I think, more than other people did. And I don't think that I fell into the category with, I had to do this corporate world, or I had to do, I had to do this by the book. And I think so many people get caught up in wanting these material things and wanting this life that they look for, their version of the American dream, whatever it may be, that they forget that there, times like this make you look back and really, it's kind of like, if you're shot on the battlefield, right? if you get shot, you're not thinking about a Harley. You're not thinking about a Corvette. You're thinking about your son or daughter's eyes, your wife's eyes, your husband's eyes. Like you're thinking about somebody else. You're not thinking about, these material things. And as a society that's built on the fundamentals of, hey, this is how we attain nice things in life, we get so caught up on that, man.
Oh yeah. And plus, like, I'm blessed to be able to be here with my son and see him. I mean, heck, it's almost been a month?
Yeah, man.
Like 3 weeks, almost a month now. Like, and I'm seeing him every day.
Yeah.
Waking up, going to bed, like he's loving it, and I'm loving it, and I'm seeing in his eyes, and he's learning a lot from me, and just seeing my mannerisms and everything. Like, to me, that you can't take that joy away.
Yeah, no,
that's I'll never get that back, and I'm kind of thankful.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's the thing too, is that when we look at this in a year, you'll look back and we'll say, man, kind of hit the economy hard. That was really tough, but I think we got out of it okay because of American ingenuity. But the thing is too, is that I think you'll look back at that and say, man, for those 4 or 5 months, however long this ended up going to take, I got a ton of quality time that I could never get back. And
absolutely,
yeah. I look at it too, and on a total different scale, because I got the dogs, man. One of my dogs is 10 and the other's 8, and I'm chilling with them all day. And that's my thing too, is I have a Siberian Husky. God, he's like a son to me, dude. I mean, really is. Like I don't know. It's just my best friend. But I look at it now, and the average life of a Husky is 12 years. So I mean, if he only has 4 years left, man, I'm getting, we're getting to the dog park, we're getting walks out here, he's getting to chill out here with me, and when he's used to being cooped up inside, 8, 9, 10 hours a day while I'm not here. So
yeah, them dogs know when you're home, man. Like they're just like anybody else. So they're loving you being home right now.
I know, dude. I hopped in the shower last night when I was getting out. I threw the curtain back and go to get out, and I look, the Husky's right here and the Pomeranian's right beside. I said, "What are y'all doing, dude? What are y'all doing right next to the bathtub? Get out of here, man."
That's funny. Yeah, we when I was little, man, we used to breed Huskies, and they're the most beautiful dogs.
Dude, this one, man, he crazy story about this one is I've never actually even told this story on the podcast. I'll keep it short and simple, but I had a Husky before him that died at 18 months of kidney failure. It was just bad breeding. I was in El Paso, got him from a pretty sketchy little place, but I basically tried to save the dog's life. And he died April 13th. About 5 weeks later, I was on Puppy Finder. I don't even know if that's still a thing anymore, but whatever you used, Pet Finder, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I'm just scrolling, looking at Huskies. I'm all heartbroken, and I see Barrett on there. Now, Otto was like this beautiful, red Husky, right? And I just never seen a color like him. And I see this puppy that looks identical to him. And I was like, oh, wow. And I look, I'm in El Paso, and I look, and it's in Dallas. And I was like, man. Oh man, I was married at the time, and I was like, well, she's at work. Maybe I'll just call and see what happens, So I call, and lady's like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. They'll tell me about him. I said, cool. And she said, yeah, the craziest thing about this one is that, our Huskies are both gray and white. And we went to the vet, back before they were going to have them, and said, hey, it looks like about 7 puppies, whatever. And so on April 12th, we had 7 puppies, all black and gray. Now, this is when I woke up the morning, April 13th, about 5 a.m. I was going to PT, right? At this time, we lived in an open floor condo. I walked out and I stepped in Otto's blood. He had just died in the middle of the night, blood, blood, kidney failure, bled out of his mouth. And so I find him in the kitchen, blood all over the ground, right? So she goes, yeah, the craziest thing, I woke up about 5 a.m. April 13th, and I walked out into the kitchen. There was just blood all over the kitchen floor. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what?
Man.
And she was like, yeah, in the middle of the night, she had an 8th puppy, and it was a red one. I literally just start crying, man. And I said, hey, I called my first sergeant. I was a platoon sergeant at the time. I called my first sergeant. I said, hey, man, I'm not gonna make it to work today. I said, we didn't really have nothing going on. I said, I'm gonna let Sergeant Shanks take control of this if you don't mind. I said, I'm gonna go to Dallas, dude. And he was like, what? And I was like, yeah. I said, I'm going to Dallas, brother. I said, I'm sorry. I called her. I said, hey, I'll be there in 8 hours. I'm going to come get this dog. I went by Kara's work. I said, yeah, I'm going to go get this dog, man. She was like, all right, dude, I guess. Because, dude, it was so I go pick him up, made me sign a medical waiver because he had a chicken allergy. They didn't think he was going to live very long. He was a run of the litter. He's 94 pounds now, dude.
Crazy.
A monster, and he's just like this big sweetheart. But the first 2 years I had him, man, I was like, I don't know how much more of this I can take. I used to leave my doors unlocked in Alaska, he got to where he could take his teeth around the doorknob and open the door and run out.
Yeah, man. They're smart, dude. Like if you don't give them the time of day, they will find some trouble to get into, man.
It was bad. I told him, man, I was like, I can't keep doing this. And he got to a point for a while that like, he was like, nah, I'm not coming inside anymore. He just wanted to stay outside all the time. So I would have to leave hot dogs leading up to the steps to try to get him inside.
That's funny, man.
But nah, man, it'll light of my life, dude. But I think you're right, man. I think a lot of people at this time, they're looking back on what really matters. And you know, whatever might be the fast-paced world, whatever we live in, but I think a lot of times it's hard. It's hard to, you know, stop yourself in the middle of everything you got going on and really say like, man, you know, what I got right now is probably all I need, to be honest.
Yeah, it is, man. I think people just need to open up to it. You know, I think like, man, what do I do? Like, I hate being at home. Like, just relax, like chill for a second. It's probably what you need anyway.
I was telling somebody the other day, I said, man, you know, I said, you could get up in the morning before the sun rises, do some yoga, you know, chill, just hang out. You ain't got nothing to do. Like, I mean, what do you got going on? You know? Mm-hmm. I think what's key right now is a lot of people are trying to alter their schedules to figure out what's working for them. I've seen a lot more night owls since this has happened. You know, I've been talking to a lot of people and they're like, yeah, man, like used to getting up at 5 a.m. I'm just going to bed at 2 now and getting up at noon. I'm like, well, all right, I guess if that works for you, you know. But I was talking to, when I was telling you, I was talking to Coach Myers the other day. He was talking about it. He said, man, you know, I'm used to being at the gym at 5 a.m. He said, I've started, he's lucky enough to have a sauna built into his house. And he said, yeah, man, he said, the cool thing is now, he said, I'm waking up about 7, you know, getting a slight workout in, hopping in the sauna when my kids start rolling out of bed, like 8:30, 9. He said, I'm cooking breakfast for them every day. He's like, that's stuff I never got to do before. Like ever. Like, you know, and he was like, I've never gotten to do that before. He was like, I just never have. And I'm like, yeah. And you don't think about things like that. And I think for him, you know, he's looking at like, man, I'm getting 2 more extra hours of sleep. I'm still getting my workouts in. I'm still hopping in the sauna and I'm getting to, you know, give my kids breakfast. Like, that's a pretty sweet life.
Yeah. I mean, I think some people are starting to realize now, you know, sleeping in a little bit, and realizing like when you lift, our bodies are made from a muscular standpoint. They're not ready to handle that stress until about 10 a.m. Really, from a research scientific standpoint, right? But we all know we have to get up early. We have to bust it out before work.
Right.
But now, since you have the opportunity to do so, the best time is to get in somewhere between like 10 and 2. Yeah. Is like your money times, right? And you of course, it's I'm even guilty of this, like going to bed a little bit later. Like, yeah, I've been going to bed probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours later than normal.
Me too.
And I can tell like as soon as like after 2 or 3 o'clock, I'm kind of like a little bit tired.
Yeah. It was funny. Yesterday, man, I don't know what hit me. And my thing too, is that the only day I really stress out is when we're trying to upload episodes. So when we're dropping episodes, that's like the only day where I'm like, let's get it down. And Spotify decided to be crazy yesterday. So, you know, just doing just normal little everyday stuff, you know, and, but yesterday afternoon, man, we dropped the episodes. I put up the social media post and I literally texted like everybody. I was like, man, I'm going to take a little afternoon nap. Yeah. I never do that. You know, you know, it was like 2:30. I said, I'm going to take a little nap. And dude, I woke up 2 hours later, like, where am I? But it was glorious, man. I was like, man, this was amazing. But I never do that. And it was just to have the freedom to do that. Like, and I haven't watched a TV show in forever. I finished Tiger King the other night.
Yeah, that shows what is keeping America together.
Dude,
for sure.
It is, man. I actually had a dude Photoshop my face onto it, and I put it up on Instagram, and I'm having people actually comment on it, and they're like, "Dude, I thought that was him for real. I didn't know it was you." I was like, "It's back when I just had the stash." Yeah, and, I put it up, man. They were like, "Man, I had somebody put it as their cover photo." I looked on there, his wife was like, "Take his shit down now."
I'm guilty, man. My wife and I have actually watched it twice.
Oh, dude, I know. I told somebody the other day, man, I said, I'm about to start it again. Jordan just started it. I've been telling her, I said, you got to start this. You have to, because it just, you know, what's funny about that is that I've been cracking Sam, our tech guy. He, the town that zoo is in is where Sam was adopted out of.
Really?
And yeah. So he lives in Houston, but he's from Oklahoma. Yeah. And I cracked up. I said, Sam, like, you're 25, brother. Like, if you didn't get adopted, man, you might have been married to old Joe Exotic over there, dude.
Hey,
I said,
tell people, like, I've been talking to some of my friends about this. They're like, I can't believe people are like, y'all don't understand. My wife grew up in Mississippi. I grew up in the mountains of Virginia.
Yes.
I was like, people are like that. Like,
dude,
that's some real shit.
When I took Jordan home, so these are the two stories I always tell people. You know, when I'm coming from Kansas, man, I have to come down West Virginia down through Wytheville.
Yeah.
You know, I got to come down that way and pass Wytheville and coming down through Bluefield, like all that, you know. So I'm not over at like Wise yet, but I'm coming down through. And we got down into Carroll County. So right, Floyd, Carroll coming that way. And coming into North Carolina, there is right on the border, there's this I call it like a flea market, I guess, but it's called Mountain Man Trading. And but they have about 500 meters, I guess, of Confederate flags lined up with different images on them. You know, they even got like a rainbow one. They got the Pride Confederacy flag. And but I told her she had never seen one in person before, ever.
Wow.
Being from Kansas, she'd never seen one. And so we're coming down. I said, you know, it's about 4 a.m. Sun's coming up. And I said, hey, just so you know, I said, we're about 10 miles, you know, coming through Fancy Gap right here. We're about to pass this place. And just so you know, it's going to have Confederate flags. Like, I just want you to know, like, hey, don't worry about it, you know. And she was like, what the hell? And I was like, yeah, dude. I said, it's not a joke out here, man. One of them got Donald Trump giving a thumbs up on the Confederate flag. I said, it's not a joke. And but I took her up to Mabry Mill, and even the mountains, man, are now starting to get a little commercialized, if you will. About when I was 16, we got a place down near us called Primlin. And when I was a kid, it was a hunting resort for NASCAR, you know, because Wood Brothers is right where we're at. And but you know, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Dale Earnhardt would come there and hunt and stuff, and used to just have one cafe on there. About 15 years ago, they built a $19 billion golf course on top of the Appalachian Mountains. And my brother's been up there working the whole time, but was owned by the seventh richest man in the world. He passed away, but he owns Prima Steel out in France. Well, dude, they built a vineyard up there. They got a 5-star restaurant up there. They, you know, all this stuff that you would never have saw 20 years ago in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And, but I took Jordan up there to this Mabry Mill. They got an old mill out there, and they get out there and they sing bluegrass, and they clog on, you know, some old cardboard boxes and stuff like that. And I was telling her as we were coming through this small town called Mezzadin, I said, you got to realize that these mountain people, I said, they don't, some of these people have never been 3 miles from their home. They don't leave where they're at. You know, even when the grocery stores started popping up and everything, they're self-sufficient, and they got these things. And she was like, that can't be true. And I was like, no, Jordan, they're 95-year-old people that have never been off this mountain. They've never been anywhere. And she was like, how? And I said, Jordan, we live at the foothills. And I said, my mom was, you know, in her 40s before she ever flew on a plane. My older brother's never been on a plane before. And it's to her, that's just so shocking, you know. And I said, Jordan, you know, not everybody gets to fly to Hawaii when they're 12. Like, it's just, people aren't built like that. I said, where I'm from, mountain people, they don't leave, man. That's just what they do. And I crack up, man, because it was just so funny, because just the look on her face, she was like, this is wild. I was like, yeah.
I mean, it's true, man. Like, people that, we didn't have a store, you know, we had to drive 30, 45 minutes out, you know? So, I mean, we grew up on a garden, and we grew up, you know, dad and my brother's hunting and bringing in the meat and stuff. But like, you know, our parents, I don't remember when I was a kid, I don't remember eating, you know, cereal or snacks or anything like that. Like, it was just normal food that we grew or hunted with. And, you know, once we moved houses and got more into like suburban area, like that's when I started eating like shit, and eating crap and Pepsis and cola and all that stuff. I don't remember any of that stuff when I was small, you know?
No, it's well, you know, it's a different culture, man. I think that
it is.
You know, when you're self-reliant like that, and you can kind of just, you kind of pick, I say you pick and choose, but it's not that you pick and choose. You just eat what you grow, or eat what you catch, or eat what you hunt. I mean, it is picking at a certain point, but it's not at the same time. But no, I think, I mean, I actually hate the obesity problem that we have in America, because I don't think that if you've ever been outside of America, you know how prevalent it is. It's weird. But I was explaining to somebody, and I was in a basically a societal health class last year, and I was explaining to somebody in the class, we were talking about, you know, different medicine across the world, you know, socialized healthcare versus our healthcare and blah blah. And I said, you know, not even just healthcare. I said, you got to realize, you take a city like Rome's this huge city, and you look at a place like where I live at now, Lawrence, Kansas. Lawrence has 90,000 people, right? We have more McDonald's on one side of town here than Rome does as an entire city. That's not even a joke. Like that's 100% true. And to people that are so used to being like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, no, there's like a McDonald's at the train station for tourists, obviously. And there's like a couple out in the city. Back in the 90s, right at the bottom of the Spanish Steps in Rome, there's a building there that McDonald's ended up buying and tried to put a McDonald's in there. The whole city ended up having a rally and going and laying in front of the building so they couldn't come in and put a McDonald's in next to the Spanish Steps, because they considered it blasphemy.
Yeah, you wouldn't see that here. That's for sure.
No, you never would, man. And it's crazy. I just think that I don't think America really realized the obesity problem that we have.
Yeah, it's bad, man. Like Mason and I went out to mail something off a couple weeks ago, and every fast food place was packed through the drive-through.
Yep.
Because again, they couldn't get food, right? So they're going for the quick route, the easy way, and every drive-through was packed. And I'm like, look at that. Like, I'm like, these people either one, just do not care, or two, just don't have the knowledge of what to eat, when to eat it, how to eat it. Like they just don't know.
Well, you know, that very true. My thing is that I didn't realize how many people couldn't cook. That blows my mind, man. And that's another generalizational thing too, is that, you know, I look at my dad. My dad's 73, Vietnam vet, and since I was little, he's always cooked, always. Like, I mean, that's just what he's done, man. And you know, I started seeing the patterns that it was the generation before ours that's kind of started getting away from everything and started really relying on, you know, on fast food. And I remember thinking like, man, I'm going to learn to cook. Like I'm always, you know, I'm going to know how, because I mean, imagine, you know, I guess they're considering McDonald's and all this essential, which is fine. You know, I get it. But imagine if those weren't open.
Yeah.
People, I mean, I don't know what they'd do, man.
Man, I was lucky enough to marry Macy because, I mean, she grew up, you know, in a country town, country family. Like I grew up, Dad expected, now Dad could cook. I mean, he could do it, but my mom would have food on the table.
Yeah.
He'd work outside. Mom cooks the food and has breakfast, lunch, dinner on the table. And I grew up like that, you know?
Yeah.
And nothing against women, right? But and Macy will talk about this herself. She's like, women are like, it's that whole independency thing. Like, I'm going to work or I'm going to go out. Like, yeah, that's important. But women are kind of losing that. Like, hey, I'm here for the man. Like, I'm provide for the male. Like, that's something that's, if you look at it, that's biblical in a way as well. Yeah. You know? So.
No, yeah, I agree, man. I think that, you know, America as a culture, though, has gotten away from the family values. I just don't. I don't think it. I just don't think it in general has. It's weird because I mean, I see people that like, that's the hard thing with social media, right? Is that you and I were raised a certain way and we have our own thing going, but then you are trying to, from miles and miles away through some kind of social media app, you're trying to portray, you know, yourself onto somebody else, but you're also having to try to understand these other people as well. And that, dude, that's I mean, I've talked to some people and I'm like, dude, where are you from, brother? Like where, you know, and it's mind blowing for me, man. And so it's hard because I think that I don't know. I mean, there's several factors that go into it, you know, and from my hometown, a lot of the things that that I'm starting to see is our, Surrey County over in North Carolina, right on the border of Virginia. It's number 2 per capita in the nation right now in opioids. And so you're starting to see a lot of, I mean, people I went to high school with are drug overdose and stuff. And I think a lot of factors go into it, but it's somewhere along the way in the last 20, 30, maybe even 40 years, we kind of lost the core values that I think make us, that tribal community I was talking about. And you're seeing a lot more. I mean, you're seeing a rise in suicide. You're seeing a lot of a rise in a lot of obesity deaths, a lot of depression, a lot of opioid addiction, alcohol addiction. At some point, correlation doesn't cause causation, but at some point you gotta point, something together at that thing. And then, but it's statistically proven that the most successful people to kind of make it out are the ones that have those strong family ties and those strong family bonds. So,
yeah, I mean, something I heard a while back is when it comes to tribe and being productive, is there's three things. One, if you struggle together. Two, you eat together, and three, you talk together. Those three. And it makes sense, right? Like, struggle together. That's training. That could be hunting and gathering. That could be whatever you want to call it, right? The struggle. And then how many times do you sit down with people when you eat a dinner or eat a meal, you come up with new ideas? Yeah. Like, it's just you talk, right? And then you talk about it, like you come up with these ideas, and then you're productive. And all that stuff comes in handy, because it's amazing how the attitude changes when you struggle together in a weight room or you're training hard together. It's just, I don't know, it's just something about being within that tribe, being with that people, and those three things just come to fruition once you do it.
Yeah, no, and that's another thing, talking about the eating together portion, is that that's obviously something that we've gotten away with, sitting down and eating dinner, or sitting down and eating breakfast together. But you look at, it's different, because we talk to people about it. I've heard people be like, well, that was like the traditional way of doing things. But if you look at it from a total different standpoint, like a different point of view of it, that was, for a lot of people, their decompression time, man.
Yes.
They get back from a long day of whatever work, whether it be in the field, whether it be, back in the day selling vacuums, whatever it was, man, door-to-door salesman. But you get home and you get to sit down and you get to look your kids and your wife in the face, and you get to say, how was your day? What did you do today? Oh, okay. What are you in? What are you studying in? What are you doing this? And when you take that away from somebody, not only are you harming yourself at that point, but you're also then showing the next generation that communication doesn't matter. Therefore, you have a group of individuals who are very good at social media. But I mean, I've met plenty of people, man, that I've talked to on social media and been like, oh, wow, okay. And then you put them in a boardroom with somebody and you're like, who are you? What happened? Like, there's no confidence there, because they've never had any type of social building with having to look at somebody face to face and talk to them about it. And no matter how far you get with social media, even if it becomes virtual reality at some point, you're still having to do these face to face. At no point in time am I going to get any views from people looking at us texting. It's it's not. They want to see stuff like this. They want to hear stuff like this, because at some point they crave, conversation. I had one dude tell me, he was like, I'm not very good at talking to people. I like listening to your guys' podcast because it makes me feel like I'm in the room with other people. He said, he said, I'll be listening to it in the car driving. And he said, I'll be talking to y'all. I said, all right, dude. He said, I'll be saying what I want to say back to you. He said, but it's because, man, we've gotten so far away from when I first started this. I started this as, something that was going to be decompressing to me, because I like talking to people, man. I love it.
No, it's true. It's true, man. And then, like, on my side of things, when it comes to coaching and the performance realm, I mean, there are so many coaches out there that hide behind the keyboard.
Always, man.
Hide behind the keyboard. They haven't coached. They might have say, they've coached a lot of people, but like, there's a difference between floor hours and being on the floor and coaching and teaching, than coming in contact with an NFL player for an hour or so and saying you train NFL athletes. There's a big difference there.
Right.
And it shows. And I think nothing is better than time under the bar.
Yeah.
Training yourself and coaching. That's it. To me, that's professional development. The hell with reading articles and books and all that stuff. Like, training, you're going to learn the most from failures and everything than anything else.
Yeah, no, I see it in the weightlifting world, dude. I see it in the gun range world. That's one of my biggest things. People collect guns and they talk about it. I've had dudes who could talk about, and I mean, put me under the table talking about guns. And I'm like, man, talking about different rifles. I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about, dude. And then you take them out to go shoot. And I'm like, you can't shoot. Like you've just been watching YouTube videos, dude. You don't even know what we're doing, man. Like what?
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
it's mine, but no, it's the same, dude. I have a guy, a real good friend of mine that was on, and he's a strength coach as well. His name's Ryan Sullivan. He's up in New York, but he is he does the competition shows, right? And dude, I'm telling you, this guy puts hours into his craft. Like Ryan is amazing, but he's the same way, and it shows. And he does this thing where he's like, okay, you can look at this, and this. You can look at any client testimony you want to do or whatever. He said, but for some reason, the only people I hear talking on social media are these guys who have done all this stuff. And he said, where are you do where are your results at? Where have you been doing that? And I love Ryan because he's a different breed of personality. I think people think he's a little bit, I don't know. I mean, I guess I think he's an asshole. So in a good way, but that's just how he is. And he straight up, man, he'll tell people like, man, you guys are going out here, because he has dudes that do the whole bodybuilding competition world's a beast of its own, and he'll have dudes that like try to get close to the judges or get close to other coaches, and they do like this backdoor stuff. And Ryan's like the only person that's like, nah, like I'm the one in here putting in the work. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And it's funny to see, because social media, I think that this time especially, you're right. I think the people who are not used to actually putting in work, they don't have to right now. You can copy and paste other people's workouts. It's a whole nother thing, man. And it's weird to me, because in a way I kind of see it as the future, which is sad. Because I think at some point, we're going to be the last of the dying breed of this kind of generation. You're going to go into a lot of the people I see who get a lot of follows, man, they're not real coaches at all.
No. And I'll go as far as saying, and I won't name any names, but I'll go as far as saying some of your most popular people on Instagram are full of shit.
Yeah.
And well known, and even in the military tactical setting, let's just say that. But yeah, it's that, and that's fine. But again, I'll always, even if we are the minority, right? Even if we're the minority, when it's all said and done, I truly believe that people will weed through that shit.
Yeah. Well, and at the end of the day, you get to look at yourself in the mirror.
Yes.
A lot of people can't look at their own reflection, man. A lot of people don't. A lot of people aren't happy with what they look at today, and that's on them. Because if you're bullshitting your way through life, even if no one else sees it, you know it. You know it. So at the end of the day, man, when I look back on stuff, and I tell Corey and Sam this all the time, we're all the time constantly thinking about how can we improve what we're doing, right? Where we started up small, we're getting better every day. We're working, we're in our group chat, we're doing something. We're trying to do something every day to figure out where we go to next, new guests we have coming on, whatever it may be. And not only that, I mean, people see this, the podcast started as what it was, but the podcast was just a vessel for where I'm trying to go. There's other things I'm trying to incorporate with what I'm doing. I align myself with people that I think, will help me and I can help them. We can grow together. I've always been like that. But I think that the proof is in the pudding when you talk about, small companies who are working hard, because when I look back at 85 years old and, the rocking chair method, right? When I look back and I'm sitting there, if I can be happy with myself that I never faked the funk, my life's complete, man. My life is complete. Because there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of the happiest people in the world, a lot of the happiest, and I put that in quotes, a lot of the quotation, a lot of people who seem to be happy, they're not the happy ones, man. They're not happy with themselves. And when you fake it for so long, you get to a point to where you don't even know what's real anymore anyway. You don't know how to do it the real way. So,
and that's the thing, man. Like I never want to get to that point. Like I'm not a big person. Like I'm not going to video myself talking about just some random stuff on Instagram. I'm just not like that. Right. Yeah. And I always spit the truth on podcasts, and I might record some technique videos down the road or something towards getting people better, but I'm not going to use that phone as a crutch because I'm lonely or because again, these people that act like they're happy, they're not. Like you said, they're not happy.
No. Somebody, we were talking the other day about doing Instagram lives, and I'm a big fan of Jeff's Instagram lives. And I was telling somebody the other day, I said, I've done what you were just talking about. I did that one time, man. I had one Instagram live and I just put it up while I was on the computer, and I was sitting there like, the fuck am I doing? Like, what am I doing? Like, what am I even talking? What am I doing? And I was, talking to my team about it. And I think the only time that we'll do like an Instagram live like that is if I'm doing a recording with somebody else that we're not going to release. You do a little 15-minute back and forth with somebody. That is information that people want to hear. I want the podcast to be what goes. I don't care if my face, I got a big old nose, man. I'm not that good looking, I don't care, man. So for me, you're right, man. It's a loneliness thing. But my thing is that a lot of these coaches, man, and not even coaches, I'll stop picking on coaches. A lot of people in general, that's their crutch. That's their crutch. You get a following, you put out some products, and for some reason, no matter what you say, it's held to some higher standard based off, I don't know what. I really don't know what it's held off of, Instagram following, I guess. But I think people, you're bored in life, and then I think you find people that are more bored in life, and then they just follow what you say, man. And it's kind of like, dude. But I'm the same way, man. I did the Instagram live once or twice. I think once actually, and I may have tried it a second time, and it just wasn't for me, man. It wasn't. The only one I ever had fun on is I had one the other day, last week, I think, that I got asked by the University of Kansas here. And this is something else that, like, I don't even classify myself as. They reached out to me like, hey, you mind coming on? We're having they do a thing here called mocktails and mingles at the Alumni Center. And so it's basically like fake alcohol drinks that are, and you go around with whatever event they have. They do like, business school or tech school, whatever. And they have, entrepreneurs and businessmen and businesswomen from that branch of whatever work, right? And you go in, you talk to them like, oh, okay, what, do I need to go to grad school? Do I need to do this? Well, they reached out to me and they're like, hey man, do you mind coming on? We're going to do a Mocktails and Mingles live during the quarantine. And we're looking for digital influencers and social influencers. And I was like, sure, I was like me, I was like, I guess. So I'm on here and I'm like, talking to him, and I got to watch myself because like I can't cuss on this thing, and I'm like, oh, dude. But I had a blast doing it because they were actually, a little bit of a following on there, and they were actually asking questions that made sense. And I told them what I tell everybody is that if you want to talk about content put out, that's great, right? But you got to make sure that the content is something you're happy with. I could put out a photo tomorrow. We do this all the time. I'll put out a photo that'll get 30 likes, but it's a photo that means something to me. We'll put out another one, man, of somebody that has nothing to do with anything I'm doing. It'll get 1,000 likes. Okay, cool. Yep. That's fine. The followers follow what they want to, and that's awesome. But if you build a team around you that respects your vision and gets your vision, and you all three at some point put the business model above the finances, and you let everything worry about itself. And then you're happy with what you're doing every day. I can wake up every day, and I have never, ever on this podcast sold out any value that I say what I want to say. And it's our podcast. Like, that's just how I feel about it. And I don't say anything crazy or, offensive to anybody, but I could not imagine waking up every day and somebody telling me what I'm going to say on my podcast or who I'm going to bring on or who I'm going to work with. I never want to be in a position where I don't have the control to do what I want to do.
Well, the key thing too is when it comes to social media and the business like that is, like you said, get the right people on, but you got to remember too, like, you're still the boss, right? You want people to know that you're in control of that business.
Yep.
So like the people that work with you and underneath you, you should support each other. Like they should post pictures and videos of you, and you need to post pictures and videos of them. So that way you're just not promoting yourself over and over and over again. And that's how you kind of grow each other. That's the key. Is to get people to do it for you.
Yeah, I know. I Gary Vee's one of those dudes to me that, like, I feel like if I had to be in a room with Gary Vee for eternity, I'd go crazy. But he says the one thing that I've taken from him that he said that I thought made so much sense is that I saw a clip of him once talking about two dudes that he had filming for him, right? And he said, okay, he said, the number one thing you want to do, and Corey and Sam will attest to this, man. We came in and I told Corey and Sam, I said, we're not making any money right now. None. I can't pay you a single thing. There's nothing I can do for you right now. I appreciate that you love this, and I appreciate you see where the vision's going to go. but I can't pay you anything. And they were like, yeah, dude, we don't care. Like, cool. And I knew right then, I said, cool. And I took this from Gary because he had 2 dudes filming for him. And he said, ask that guy right there how much I paid him in the last year. And he was like, yeah, nothing. He was like, ask him about the job I just got him yet. He's like, oh yeah, I got like lead film something on a Steven Spielberg movie. He said, that guy just he gave me 12 months of his life and I just set him up for life. And he's been fed, he got a place to stay, but I haven't paid him anything. And so he said, yeah, man, he said, I got 2 dudes working for me for free on an internship and they will be set up for the rest of their life because they did right by me. And now I'm going to do right by them.
Yep.
And,
that's what it's about.
Yeah, it is, man. And we look at it now. I mean, like Corey, man, Corey's been with me for almost a year now. And, one of my former soldiers, great dude, all around great guy. And we've had people reach out to him, bigger names than we are and be like, hey man, I need help with the podcast. We've had people really contact us and be like, I have no idea. I got a podcast set up. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to turn the mics on. And I'm like, yeah, well, here you go. Here's my buddy, Corey. Like, here you go. He's a sound producer. He's an audio engineer. Here you go. And we got dudes like that. And like, when I told you about Sam on the last episode, I got Sam in here and Sam's now getting past the phase. It's funny, man, because when I had him reach out to you, but there's another group we have coming on that's basically doing stuff with sex trafficking. It's a bunch of former operators who are, trying to fight and combat the sex traffic epidemic that we have going on. And Sam's like, hey man, I think I'm going to reach out to them, see if they want to come on. Yeah, do it, dude. Go ahead, man. You got it. Go do it. And he gets the email back. He's like, holy shit. Like they want to come on the podcast. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, man, that's good. Like, yeah. And
that's how it works.
Yeah.
Man.
And so for him, man, I think it's been a ton of fun because he's in an environment where he can create, he creates all our shirts now and stuff. I have him do everything. He talks to our graphic designer. And for him, it gives him the freedom because he's so used to working in this corporate world where he's beat down all the time. And now you got a guy where it's like, hey man, yeah, I trust you. Go do what you got to do. Just let me know what's going on. Keep me in the loop and we're good to go. And he's like, what is happening? I just think I think the whole business model, for small businesses, I think the key to it is to start out and really know what you're doing from the beginning. Cause if you just mess around, dude, you're going to mess around for forever.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely got to have a plan moving forward, man. And especially if you have a passion for something from the get-go, that's good. You can't just want to start something because somebody else is doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I know. Yeah. That's the big thing too, is that, when we started looking at what we're doing is that, I would say we're kind of in a zone by ourselves with how we're doing things, but I never, prior to me doing this, I had never listened to a military podcast or a veteran-led podcast. I just hadn't. I had not. After I started recording, I got sent a couple episodes of Jocko. Listen to that. He does a totally different thing than we do, and I was like, man, cool. That's awesome. But yeah, I think obviously replication is one of the biggest forms of flattery for some people, but I've just never been in that zone. I wouldn't trust myself to replicate somebody else that's doing something the correct way. It wouldn't make any sense.
You got to make it your own, man. Just like any other business, people can sniff out, bull crap and, you're trying to copy somebody else. So you just kind of make it your own and grow from there and be honest and, people will follow you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Wait till I drop this fitness stuff I'm doing, man. 50 Star. It's my new one coming out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
Just wait, dude. It's coming.
No, it's, we're trying to come up with new ideas on, we got our graphic designer right now is working on a new logo. It looks nice.
Yeah. We got,
so she's playing around with it, but
we got a new one coming out too. Ours the same way is that ours the same, dude. It's funny because when we get into like creativity mode, man, we get going to where it's like, there's been some wild ideas thrown out there, dude. And I'm like, let's tamper those down a little bit. Like, let's see where we go from here. But no, I think that's the reason, we connected so well too, is because we first started following you guys and learning things. I am a big proponent of you're right. Like, I think that I do a pretty good job of sniffing out the bullshit, and when we started following you guys, I said, man, I really like what these dudes are doing, man. I think that you guys have a bright future. And the thing is too, is that you're just starting out, everybody, you have such a way to go, man. I think that, it's crazy, one, the cult following that you guys already have, but you got guys who are actually, interested in you guys. And it's funny because Sam, dude, I told Sam, I said, dude, you're gonna end up being like the 13 bar token boy. We get messages like and Sam was like, it was so funny because like Sam had posted a picture, and my buddy in Australia who's an operator out there, he's the one that messaged me. He's like, yeah, he's always repping that 13 bar hat, and Sam was like, how the fuck did he even see that? How did he even know what that was, And it's like, dude, that's how it works, man. Sam, I love Sam to death because he's dude, such a genuine person. It's so fun. It's so cool to watch him evolve into what we're doing now, because he's just like, wait a minute, this dude in Australia is messaging you about me wearing a 13 bar hat. And I'm like, yeah, dude, that's how it is, bro. That's how it goes, man. And he's like, good Lord. And I'm like, yeah. I said, but we'll always post that stuff up, because for us, man, it's like I said, it's things that we use. I don't think you'll ever catch me, and you can call me out on this later if it ever happens. Well, it depends on how much money they throw at me, I guess. But but you will never ever catch me, man, sponsoring something that I just don't use. Yeah, it'll never happen. You can come here right now, and almost anybody I have, I'm drinking out of Frontier Coffee. I use Alpha Elite supplements. You go to my bathroom, I got Outer Regs, I got Doc Spartan. I'm wearing your shirt right now, using your programs. Like, I'll never not do. And I think that's when you start losing yourself, man. Money makes people do weird shit, man.
Yeah, you got that right. It really does, man.
I've seen a lot of people do some weird stuff for money, and I think the reason I like surrounding myself with people like you, man, is because it keeps me grounded to what I'm actually trying to do. I watch you guys do what you're doing, and it makes me, one, work harder, and two, be like, man, okay, at least I know in my heart that I'm keeping on the right path.
Well, and that's what we're trying to do as a company too, man, is to keep people grounded, right? Like, from a performance standpoint, because again, like we said before, there's a lot of stuff out there, and I think people are kind of overwhelmed with how much stuff's out there, and they don't have a certain path that they can follow. And it's just like, man, like, have principles, have training principles. And that's what we have in our programs, are training principles. Like, yes, we can talk about eccentric, concentric, triphasic training, different periodization. Yeah. But it's really more about just, let's get quality of work done.
Right.
And be consistent.
Yeah. Well,
and that's another thing.
A lot of those coaches use words like that because they crutch out on the fact that other people don't know what they mean. So,
that's true.
Dude, I've had dudes where I'm just like, all right, brother. Like, yeah, do you, man? I guess, do you, sure. And they'll be like, well, it's because they don't understand the science behind it. I'm like, I don't know that you understand the science behind it.
Like, and that's the thing. Like, it doesn't matter what the lab coats say, man. Everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody's different, and it's training is a lifetime process, right? I think I've said this before. Training is a lifetime process. It's not a 5-week, 4-week, 3-week process. So, like, being able to go 6 or 7 days consistently of doing something, and like, people that just because you feel good one day or feel great doesn't mean you train like an asshole that day. Like, you train, feel good, so you have another day, and then another day, and just keep banking those days up. And that's what training should be about, but it's not. Everybody wants to be crushed when they leave the weight room and feel, but that stress, and again, it piles up, man. And people find them days of like, God, I don't feel like doing anything today because I'm tired or I'm sore. Or, it's smart training.
Then you get 10 years into your training, you wonder why your rotator cuffs don't work anymore.
That's it.
Dude, it's wild. Yeah, I think I told you that on the last episode that we did, is that's when I really knew that the bigger, leaner, stronger was going to be good for me, because about the second or third day, man, I said, dude, I knew at the end of the workout, after the end of 45 minutes, I said, well, yeah, I could easily go another hour, but I don't need to, and so, but you're right, man, as we come up with so much bad advice, and we have, man, dude, go back and look at the advice people were given 94, 95.
Yeah.
And those dudes were 20 then. So those guys are 45, 50 years old, and they're talking to these 20-year-olds in the gym now. And it's like, no, brother, you're just reading the same bad advice that you were given back when we weren't doing shit the right way. And,
well, we're seeing that in the military. I mean, that's the problem.
God, yeah, dude,
that's it. You got these guys, you got these older guys, these that say, they don't believe in all this new fancy stuff and rest and No, back in the day, we used to run and run and run, and that's how we didn't get concussions. And that's what, like, don't throw that ass, man. Like,
yeah, dude. I was talking to, when I had my knee surgery, the guy, the major, because doctors in the military will never do regular PT, like the rest of us. And he asked me, he said, how many miles do you think you run a week? And I was like, probably 50. I was like, 50. He was like, you think you run 50 miles a week? I said, yeah, easily. And he said, you've been doing that for 10 years besides deployments? Yeah. Yeah. And he was like, Jesus Christ. I said, yeah, I know, man. And that's the thing, is that other, people's bodies are built differently. I was talking to, I told you we had Knies on, and he is an ultra runner, man. That's what he does. His body is built for that. Dude, I'm not an ultra marathon. I'm not more than a 5 mile a week guy. I know that. I know how I'm genetically built. I'm not built for that. And there's some people that are, but I think you're right, man. You get these little dudes. I had this little angry guy one time, man. That was a platoon sergeant, a little bitty dude, and he was a runner, and you could tell he was a runner, man. And I'm like, dude, yeah, like, okay, that's what you're good at. That's great. I'm a pretty fast individual too. I get it. You can run, 15 miles at a 7-minute pace, sure, but that doesn't define you as a leader, and it doesn't define you, physically at all. Like, okay, good. That's the one. If you are a leader in the military, and I hope anyone listening to this actually takes this to heart. If you are a military leader and your go-to is to only do what you're good at in front of other people, you're not leading, brother. Like, you need to work on the things that you're not good at. You need to be learning how to get better at those things. And I think you're right. A lot of these older guys, man, they crutch on a lot of stuff that they're good at. And they're good OER bullets. They're good NCOER bullets, however you want to look at it, for the other side of the house is for the military. It's been like that forever. That's where that whole toxic leadership thing from a couple years came from.
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, with us as performance coaches, getting guys bought in, it starts with team leaders. It starts with the guys up top. If they don't believe in it, then the team's not going to believe in it. And then they're not going to jump on a program. And that's where it comes from. So hopefully, like, this new generation, like, once they get up, it starts to change. And hopefully, like, more guys understand. And that's why they're hiring all these tactical coaches and strength conditioning coaches for the military. Some guys probably aren't bought into it, and like, oh, they don't, they didn't do what we did, and they don't understand what we do. Well, no, from a tactical standpoint, maybe not. We don't go into the battlefield, but when it comes to performance and knowing what your body needs to get you ready for it, that's where you got to buy in. Like, you have to listen to that stuff. Yeah.
In 2014, I did that master fitness course for the Army. And dude, when we got back to our unit, the plan was, you go do this master fitness course, you come back, you're going to start building the SOP for what we're going to do, right? Never happened, bro. They, as soon as I walked into First Sergeant's office and was like, hey, this is what we learned, this is what we're doing. Nah, that's not. And I was like, dude, what's the point in sending people these classes then? What's the point in training anyone? And that master fitness course, man, was actually good because they that's what they did, bro. They brought strength coaches in from outside. And I was like, man, I saw some the other day, and you can kind of tell now, social media, those Army what the fuck moments, those have really started to, brighten, open people up. But I had a buddy the other day that's up at Lewis, and his chain of command basically put out, we're going to suspend the new PT test, the AFCT, whatever it's called, ACFT. We're going to suspend that for a little bit because of the pandemic, people aren't being able to get in the gym, right? So that's what it said. Well, then he's a staff sergeant buddy of mine. He said, well, that's funny because we're not allowed to go to the gym during PT anyway. So, which one is it? Are we going to be, and so I think in the next 5 to 10 years, when you start seeing these guys who are corporals now going into sergeant, becoming staff sergeants, it'll start changing. The tide will start changing because I think we're getting away from, I thought this 10 years ago too, so maybe not, but that we're getting away from some of the toxicity that was occurring, but no, it's the same, man. I think that, the military has always been interesting to me because it's such a mixture of personalities. I did well in the military because I actually loved being around these different people and, examining and see how they are. But God, I met some people in my time. I was like, why are you here? What are you here for, man?
Yeah, there's some things that, and going back to kind of like the whole social media thing too, is even on the internet. There's guys that see stuff on the internet that they want to do or they think they can do. Just for instance, love watching Cam Haynes and his social media, right? Like he's on it. Like he has tons of followers, but at the same time, these people go out and try to run like he does.
Yeah.
You can't do it, man.
No.
Like stop. Like
No.
you're not going to do that.
Well, yeah. Being real with yourself, realistic training aspect. Yes. I really think that's actually, I do the same time, same thing with guys all the time. I'm like, I always, if somebody tells me, hey, this is what I'm doing, the first question I ask them, why? Do you know why you're doing it? And if you don't know why, if you don't know why you're doing it, why are you doing it?
You asked that question to about 80% of guys, and they won't know.
They have no idea. They have no idea.
That's the problem.
They have no. Well, and that's the thing is that when you say why, and the immediate response is, well, I saw it on this, or this is what they do. Bro, you're not built like a human being. That's like, you look at dudes like Tim Kennedy, man. You just, I was watching a rewind is what I'll call it, but I was watching an old fight of his, with him and Bisping the other day, and you look at Tim's physiology, right? After he just went through a camp and supposedly at his smallest weight cut, but you look at him and dude, he's just not built like other people, man. Mm-hmm. And so if you think at any point that you're watching Tim's videos and you're going to go out here and replicate what he's doing, bro, it's not going to happen. He's a genetic anomaly, man. It's not going to happen. And I think people get caught up in I don't know what it is, man. I like I said, I think people have a hard time looking in the mirror at themselves because
it's the same thing. It's the same thing with sleep.
I mean, God, dude. Yeah.
The whole sleep thing, like, if I'm up at such and such AM before everybody and I'm more successful, and that's just a bunch of crock.
Yeah. Dude.
And people fall for it, man.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you what, I no bullshit get nothing but 8 hours of sleep at night. Like you never not go. As far as in my whole training thing, nutrition's up there for me. Rest may be my number one.
It should be.
I mean, I really do believe that. I'm a big proponent of that, man. These dudes, I get onto the guys who are training for SFAS right now all the time because I'm like, well, what do you mean? What did you do today? Well, I rucked 12 miles and now I'm going to run 10. And then I'm like, whoa, dude, where's the periodization at? What are we doing here, bro? What are you doing? And then I went to bed at 10. I got up at 4 and I'm going to get bed. No, dude, sleep that ass in until 8 a.m. Get up, make you some breakfast. Like, what are we doing here, man? I think guys just get so caught up in it, man. They get so caught up in the bullshit because the thing is too is that if you look at it, really the people spitting this knowledge to you, right? They're such a small percentage of people that, I mean, really, if you look at it, like guys like Gary Vee, yeah, that's great motivation. But if what he was saying works, right? And he's been around for 5 years preaching this. Well, where are the other Gary V's at?
Yeah.
Where are they at? Where are they at? Yeah. If what he's saying works and it's been 5 years, where are y'all at? Because I haven't seen anybody else. And so I think people get so caught up in it, man, that you see one person who has his model of success. And, and I tell people all the time, people will contact me about the podcast, man. And we have a small percentage of success. We are such a low scale success rate right now, but it's successful to me, right? But I'll get people that'll, hit us up about the podcast. And I'm like, dude, you need to figure out what you're going to do for you. I've had people reach out and be like, well, I really like the model you guys are doing. I think that I'd like to do like a YouTube series like you guys do and bring people on that you guys have. Okay, brother, but you got to realize, man, that you're not me. You're not going to have these same connections with these people. And I'm not some grand person. I just have these connections. And I mean, and why in the world, not saying that I won't help you out, but why in the world would I give up what I'm doing to help your YouTube videos go? I mean, it don't make no sense, man. And
it's a two-way street too. I see it where, like, I see the tactical setting has adopted such a low level of performance, and like their optimal level is very low, but that's their optimal, right? But to me, I tell everybody that sends me questions about certain research or certain this, I'm like, hey, like, is there optimal? Like, is it even possible to be at optimal level? Because we're never going to be 100%.
No, never.
We're never going to be 100%, especially in the military. You'll never feel 100%. Athletes will never feel 100%. The average Joe won't feel 100%. It's just, you have to realize how to, be at 90, be at that 85, 90%, like, because your body's never going to feel perfect.
Yeah, I was on a chat with somebody not too long ago. It was a live feed, and I won't name drop him, but as soon as he said it, dude, I just clicked off of it. I was like, "This guy's a fucking idiot." Basically, somebody, they were talking about, a guy gave an honest review of what he thought his performance was for the week, and he said, "Oh, I've been at about 75%." And the guy responded back to him. He's like, "Well, you can't be at 75%. 75% is failure rate. That's failure right now." And I was like, "Get the fuck out, dude! You can't even walk. Shut up! Like, what are you talking about, dude? Your knees are so gone from air. Shut up, dude! Like, what?" But it's just that hardo personality, man. There's something about it, man. I'm a big proponent. I'm by no means the physical specimen, whatever. But a lot of these dudes who talk, man, to these kids online and stuff, I'm like, well, you got to put up or shut up, man. Like, come train with me. Come train with me one day. We'll just see how it goes. But people, they don't want to do that, man. It's much easier to talk, much easier to talk than to ever put any type of work into what you're doing.
Absolutely.
I love it. I actually do. I do, man. I crack up. I'll text people all the time. I text Sam about it all the time, because a lot of the stuff these people are putting out, I'm like, how? What is happening? What are you guys doing? Where is this coming from? And I love it. I'm just like, oh God.
Yeah. Yeah. I think especially, and you throw CrossFit in the mix too, right? It's, I'm not going to dog it, because if it gets people moving,
right,
and it gets equipment made and barbells and racks and be able to provide for people just to train and move around, that's great. I think that's one of the biggest positives that CrossFit has done for the community.
Yeah.
But again, like, it's being smart with your training. It's like somebody seeing Matt Frazier or Rich Froning doing something doesn't mean you can do it. Like, let's just be, people's got to understand that they're not gonna be able to handle that stress. And they're sponsored by how many different companies with supplements, and
right.
I mean, that's all they do. That's their job.
Yeah. No, I'm all for CrossFit until it gets to the point to where it's you're endangering yourself. I saw something the other day where a dude was doing a box jump onto what do you call that ball bitch?
I've seen it. I think I've seen that. Yeah.
And he basically did a overhead press, and then while he was in the press box, jumped onto it and then squat, and I was like, bro, what are you doing? Like, at some point, like, and I get it. I honestly think people just get bored, man. But that's the only crutch I see for CrossFit, is it's led these people to do like some stuff that anatomically you should not be doing, man. Like, you shouldn't be doing these things. And I'm like, oh man, yeah. And I tell people, like, man, I'm like a low rate personal trainer, dude. I don't as far as science wise, I'm there. Body wise, I get it. Physiology wise, I'm there. I got it. I know everything we're doing, but I feel like anybody that looks at something like that should know that's not something I should be doing. But that's the same video that'll get 1.5 million views on YouTube. Yeah. And then, but you don't see the 30, 40 dudes who just tore an ACL trying to do just absolutely.
And that's the thing, man. And it's so popular because people that they have a zero training age going into it. Yeah. Right. So their body's going to adapt to whatever's thrown at them, and they're going to see some results if it's done correctly. But then after a while, people start to realize, like, man, like, I'm not getting any better. I'm just tiring myself out every day. What's the problem? And that's where the education comes in, like energy system development and learning what systems you need to train every day and why you feel this way. That's where when they hit that roadblock, that's where they search for, like, okay, what next? And that's where CrossFit coaches, they better learn this stuff because they don't know how to teach it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is too, is that you guys like you are so far and few between now because it's become so easy to attain. Like, I mean, for me, like, I got my associates, in sports nutrition and everything. So I got that, but I got it all basically, dude, online. Mm-hmm. There was no, you know what I'm saying? There was no, and when I first started over here, and I quickly learned, and like I said, being real with yourself. My first year here was exercise science, right? And I got in the lab and I was doing stuff, and I immediately said to myself, I'm a real person. I said, bro, you know what? It would be a disservice to anyone that I would teach later on in life because I'm not passionate about this. I love it. I love everything about this, but it's not my passion. And I think a lot of people, a lot of coaches, man, because this program here at KU is a good one, man. We got Dr. Trent Herta and Dr. Andrew Fry. We got some real good guys here putting some real good information down. But with that being said, it has the highest, the exercise science has the highest attrition rate among KU students, right? For its degree path. But you're I've seen plenty of people that it has put out that I'm like, you should not be fucking coaching. I know you personally, you're in Kansas City. If you listen to this, probably shouldn't be coaching if I know you. I do not care.
Yeah.
But I see it and I'm like, man, dude, like, what are y'all doing? Like, they'll put videos up and I'm just like, and they don't even realize that. And this is sad. They don't realize that to the people that can see through the bullshit, I know it's bullshit, but the other 99%, man, don't care. They're, man, look at that's cool training. No, it's not. No, it's not, man. And you're just doing a disservice to your clients. And then, you know, your clients are wondering why they need hip surgery all the time. They're wondering why they have torn rotator cuffs. They're wondering why at some point, you know, they got nerd neck. Their shoulders aren't even working. And it's like, well, yeah, you got bad knees and bad hips and you got bad posture because you're not training correctly at all.
The people
man.
With social media, the videos that you don't see and the exercises that you don't see are not fun to watch are the ones that probably you need to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they're not clickbait, man. Nobody wants to see what you're supposed to be doing. That, training correctly is never going to be the popular thing to do.
No,
it never is. It never is. I know when I trained here for about a year, man, before I hopped back out of it. And I quickly found out that the exercises I was having people do, they weren't expecting it. And they were like, and you could just tell, like, they were like, this shit's hard. I'm like, what the fuck? What did you think that we were about to do? And then I'll see them go off to other trainers and stuff. And I'm like, oh, okay. Okay. Now it makes way more sense. But, you know, to the average everyday Joe that walks through the door, 90% of it is psychology. 90% of it is they want to talk to somebody. They don't really want to work hard. They want to have that. It's become gym time has become a social, bargaining chip in talks. Oh, today, you know, my personal trainer this morning, my personal trainer this, and it's like, yeah. To the athlete, though, I think that guys like you will end up standing out because the athletes, they're searching for people who really know what they're doing, man. I've seen a lot of coaches here get some pretty high-level NCAA athletes and lose them because they just have no clue what they're doing, man. They have absolutely no idea what they're doing.
And the great coaches know how to relate to anybody, to your 60-year-old mother, to your 10-year-old son. They know that, you know, what exercises that need to be done, what don't need to be done, how to relate to them. And that's where the success comes in. Yeah. And again, and then it goes back to the communication piece we talked about. If you don't know how to talk face to face, you're not going to get it done. It's not going to work.
No. Yeah. I think a lot of people, man, I have some coaches that I know here who are, they're just not the most friendly people. And you got to talk to them and be like, dude, you know, you're right, man. You got to realize that to this, you know, 20-year-old fullback, you can talk to him a certain way and it'll probably relate, but you can't take that same mentality into a 13-year-old junior track, you know, Olympian. You can't. You're going to crush whatever confidence they had. They're not going to want to train under you. They're going to be fucking miserable. And then on top of that, now that they're training with you and they're miserable, when they go to the track, all they're going to think about is how miserable they are. And then they're going to lose that passion for that sport because and there's obviously other factors go into it, but a lot of it stems from that training aspect. And it's the same too. It's the same too on like a track coach. If you have a track coach that goes out there and he's a horrible, I've seen people that we have a team here. It's a pretty good swim team, man. They put some pretty good get some pretty good scholarships, and their club coach is kind of an asshole. And they get to the point they're like, man, I don't even want to swim this season. And I'm like, gee, one person is ruining your whole passion for a sport. That is insane. That is insane.
Yep. It's interesting, man. Like I heard something the other day. It said, God, what they say? They said, everybody wants to try to be great at everything. Right. They want to be able to run a lot. They want to be able to lift a lot. They want to be able to jump high, like those are called NFL linebackers.
Yes.
It's not you. It's not the average person out there. So you better pick something that, you're good at and work at that.
Yeah.
But get the minimal effective dose of everything else. Like, don't try to crush everything at once.
Yeah. No.
Right. So that's key too.
it's funny because like for the longest time when I was growing up, I was like, man, I want to play in the NBA. Well, then I was 18, 6'1", 155 pounds with like a 32-inch vertical. Like I'm not gonna make it, bro. It's not gonna be me, you know. But people live these pipe dreams, man. And I think that there's a ton of pros that social media has. I love social media; it does a lot for me. But there's a cons too, is that people have gotten into these pipe dreams, man. They live a whole nother reality, and it's scary because I think for me, and I've hit on this episode already. For me, the hardest part is people aren't real with themselves. There's not a lot of for me, man. I set self expectations, and I know whether I can get there or not. I think I can attain it, but I'm not a big believer in just try really hard and everything will come true. That's not actually true, man. There's going to be limitations on what you can do, but you can make the best of what you have available to you. You can use a tool set to make yourself the best of what you have available. I just think that people that they try way too hard, man. And social media has got to the point to where everybody, you can go on to go on Jeff's live stream and look at some of the stuff people say on there. And I'm just like, y'all are living in a different world, man. It's all like, be real with yourself, just.
And I see some of the questions asked.
Oh God.
On Jeff's thing. And then they come to me and ask some of the same ones, like I'm gonna get a different answer or something.
Yeah.
It's just like, you don't get a different answer. Now, you already know our program is different. So I don't know what you're looking at.
Right.
Are you trying to what are you trying to find with your questions, But people live in this fairy tale land, man. It's just it's some of the craziest questions.
Dude, I know we crack up. I love Jeff's live feeds. I think they get a lot of views and they're good for people. They're good for you too. Jeff, that's the one thing I will say I love about Jeff, man. It's that it really, when you look for validation from people like we talk about, but when Jeff spoke so highly of you guys, man, and how you were as a person and stuff, and Jeff's a solid individual, like an actual, Jeff's one of the few people I've met in life who has this huge following that's still just like Jeff's a scary dude, bro. You talk to Jeff, bro, and you're like, dude, you are a real individual, man. There is no fake in anything you were saying. And when he vouched for you, I was like, okay, cool, that's awesome. And because it meant a lot to me that something I was using. Because and Jeff knows this as well. I use your programs. That's what I use. I don't, I know Jeff's stuff, but I like your programs. I think they fit better to me. And when Jeff and I were talking about it, and he was like, oh, dude, Shelton's programs. Yeah. Continue using those. Those are, and I was like, because 99% of people you talk to will say, off recording, not live, off recording. Yeah. 99% of people you talk to will be like, well, I mean, his programs are great, man, but I'm telling you, use this one of mine, and you're like, and that's usually when Jeff said that, I was like, dude, that's a solid fucking individual, man. That's a dude right there. And I crack up at his live streams because people ask questions, dude, and he'll be like, I'm not talking about that. I'm like, oh my God.
That question's fucking stupid.
Yeah. He'll be like, he'll be like, that's fucking dumb. Or he'll say some stuff like, he'll say some shit like, if you go look at my other live stream, I already covered that. And I'm just not going to cover that today. And I was cracking up because I had actually asked him about those New Balance training shoes that he got. So he spoke on those a little bit, and then it was probably, I don't know, dude. Probably 2 minutes later, somebody got on there and they're like, Jeff, talk about the New Balance shoes. And he was like, well, if you'd have got on here when the live stream started, and I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. I got a funny story about Jeff. So he came and visited me and Macy and everybody up at Liberty when I worked at Liberty University. And I was training baseball at the time, and him and I were in the weight room and whatnot. And Macy was at home by herself with Steele was a baby at the time. And I was wearing an Apple Watch at the time. And I hate Apple Watches. Dude, but I can't stand those things.
Mine's been dead for about 2 weeks. I need to charge it. I just can't, man. Yeah. I love it. When I first got it, I was wearing it, dude. And I don't even charge it anymore.
Yeah. And I never wore them. And for some reason I was wearing it on the floor and it was ringing, and it was Macy. And I was like, I gotta, for some reason I'm going to answer this.
Yeah.
So I answered it, and she was like crying hysterical. Somebody was trying to break in the house.
Jeez.
So,
okay.
Somebody was trying to sell something or acting like they were going to sell something, and she cracked the door open, and then he tried to
push away.
Come in.
Yeah.
So she slammed the door in his face, and like he kept knocking and knocking, and then Jeff was hearing the conversation. I was talking to her, and Jeff was hearing the conversation. He's like, He's like, you want to go? And I'm like, yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
So we sprinted. He drove his Raptor. He had a Ford Raptor.
Yeah.
So we sprinted to the Raptor, and I got my gun in my little pouch. And he's like, all right, here's what I want to do. Like he's like going 90 down like in a 30-mile-an-hour zone. So we're flying to the house, going through red lights. We go into the neighborhood. He's like, all right. He's like, you get out, you cover this area. He's like, I'm gonna because we thought we passed them. We were like, Macy, what are they driving? They were like, it's a Ford Explorer.
Yeah.
And we passed them on the way to the house. He's like, all right. He's like, I'm going to swerve back. And he's like, I'm going to try to get them to come back this way. If they come around, like you stand here with your gun, like just planning all this stuff out. But he found them and everything and kind of was like, hey, listen, they were trying to break in somebody else's house.
Jeez.
And
okay.
he swerved up in somebody else's yard. And this old lady was in her garden. And she was like, what are you doing? And Jeff was like, not right now. I'm talking to this person right here. And he goes up to the person. He's like, yeah, you know that house you just tried to break into? He's like, I don't think you should do that again. And they were like, who are you? He's like, you don't want to know me. Just trust me, you know? So it was funny, man. But I remember that time because we sprinted out of the weight room. The baseball players that I was training, they were like, where's coach going? And then we came back and I told the story. They were like, all in all, like listen to the story. It was a good time, man. But I'll never forget that. We're so thankful because he got there in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, dude, he's just a solid individual. I crack up because I think it takes. He's been doing a lot of podcasts lately. And I think it takes a certain personality to actually get Jeff. You know, when we first had him on, me and him were bullshitting, you know, before he even started. Mm-hmm. And I had asked him prior. I said, hey man, you let me know anything you don't want to put up. Anything you can text me. This doesn't go up for a week. It's not live. Anything you need edited out, you let me know. And he literally just goes, yeah, I'm good with everything. I just don't want to talk about the Navy SEALs. And I was like,
yep.
Okay, dude. I said, that's cool, man. We're good. Like, you know, he's, I commend him for that because he hasn't used the trident at all to kind of, to validate who he is as a person. You know, he's completely done a whole nother thing. And I commend him for that. And I told him straight up, I said, dude, we don't have to talk about anything military related at all. Like nothing there. I said, we can sit and we can talk about just what we're doing fitness wise. And I said, we'll be good to go, man. You know, you want to talk about strength training, we're good to go. That's it. And I'm glad he came on, man, because it really, for me and him both, you know, when people reach out to him, I think they reach out to him like, hey man, let's talk about the SEALs, you know, and I never once said anything. I said, I didn't even mention it. I said, you let me know what you want put on there. I said, we'll do it, man. He said, yeah, I don't mind being like, say, hey, I'm a retired Navy SEAL or whatever. He said, but as far as questions, I said, dude, you're good. I'll honor that all day. And so him and I have a good relationship. I love him because he's just, you can just tell, dude, he's just such a real individual. And I same with you is that like, he was able to talk about real stuff. You know, he talked about, drug use and stuff. And I was like, man, like, and I really appreciate it because this is me, man. I tell people all the time, Corey will say stuff. I don't listen to my own episodes. I hate to hear myself talk.
Me too.
I forget what I say sometimes. And so I have, Corey there to do it for me, but I put everything into this, man. I have never once, you can go back and listen to any of my episodes and I'm just real. Like, I talk about being from the trailer park. I talk about being from the country. I talk about my own depression, anxiety issues, my own downfalls. And I think that's what people relate to. And that's why I like Jeff a lot because of that. I like the fact that he's a successful individual, but he understands that he's not far, from where he came from. And I really enjoy that.
He uses his knowledge and his passion for performance. He was going through a rough time for a while, you know, and him and I would go back and forth talking about stuff. And, but yeah, I think him starting his business and then doing his videos and stuff like that, I think it just helps with everything, he just has a strong passion for it and he knows a lot of people. And, like when it comes to the Navy SEAL thing, he just don't like, that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about performance. Like I'm not talking about this stuff, that's my passion. And he'll say it himself. He's like, it doesn't just because you're in the military doesn't mean you know more about performance than this other coach.
Yeah,
like, don't try to pull that card, you know. So yeah.
Well, a lot of people do though. A lot of people.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. 100%.
Shelton, man, I appreciate you coming on, dude. This has been, I'm glad we got a real episode in. Not that, it was funny because people messaged me after the last one. They were like, man, that was such a good episode. I said, dude, if you only knew, dude, if we had like a 30, 40 more minutes, I said, I know outside looking in when things are edited, it looks great. I said, but we were just like hustling that day. I said, I had a dude, I said, I got off with Shelton and 30 seconds later, I was on another episode with that dude. And I said, so I said, I felt like I did them both a disservice, and same thing I told you. I said, I'm gonna get you back on, man. We're gonna do a real episode and knock it out. And I appreciate it because one, I mean, I told you, I think that you got the best programs out there, especially for me. And I want to highlight that to other people. And that you're just you're an individual, man. You're a solid fucking dude. So
appreciate it, man. It's always good to just kind of sit down and just talk shop. And you totally forget you're doing a podcast, man.
Like, dude. That's why I love this, man. That's why I'm telling you, man. When that dude told me that, he's a pretty country boy, and he said, yeah, I'll just be driving in the truck, man. I'll be talking to y'all. I said, all right. And I've never heard anybody say that, dude. And I was like, man, I said, all right. I said, that's crazy. I said, I appreciate that, man. It doesn't dawn on you when you're doing something like this that you enjoy, because this has been a good conversation. And when you put that out to the world, it's funny how people take it in other ways, man. I love it.
Well, that's what makes good episodes. I mean, Joe Rogan's the same way, right? Like, you can listen. That's why his podcasts are so long, because you don't even realize how long it's gone. I mean, it's just they talk about just everything in the world, and that's what it's about, man. Like the best, even some of the best strength conditioning and performance podcasts are the ones where they're just sitting and talking. I can't stand just sitting down and just listening to like X's and O's and research. I can't do that. I can't. It bores me. It bores me, man.
Well, yeah, and the thing is, too, people aren't relatable to that, man. Because I can tell you right now, I would say that I've done my fair share of research and stuff, and I have never once sat down with somebody and been like, "Hey, let's look at this Google Scholar." Like I've never done that, dude. Never. Like if I turn a paper in, that's probably the last time you hear me talk about it, dude. I just, and so no, I'm not a big fan of that. It's weird, man, because I have a set list of podcasts I listen to. I don't really deviate from that very often. I'll listen to something, somebody says something to me about it, but I think that a lot of times we've kind of gotten away from just being real people, man.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Shelton, man, I'll let you hop off here. I appreciate it. We knocked out went over double our time from last time. So
nice.
I appreciate it, dude. I can't tell you how much I do.
Yeah, anytime, man. Like, let's do a third one here later on down the road.
Oh, dude, we definitely will. We'll do a third, fourth, fifth. It don't matter. We'll keep it coming back, man. I got nothing but time. I hope.
Sounds good, man.
All right, guys, everybody out there, make sure you check out 13 Bar Performance, 13 Bar Strong on Instagram. Shelton, you guys just dropped the new hats too.
Yeah, we got some new hats. We got some new gear, working on some new logos. We'll have the new Zero Dark 13, the Operation 2 program coming out here soon. And other than that, man, we're pretty much solid and just kind of trying to put out content for people to relate to and help them out during this crazy time.
Yeah, man. Awesome. Yeah, dude. Look them up. Like I said, check out I've been doing the quarantine workouts. I think that it's helped me stay pretty in shape to finish out BLS and move on to the next program. But check out these quarantine workouts, because I really think that they're optimized for home, and check out the tailgate box jumps.
Yeah,
I've been watching those too. Don't worry.
I'm trying to keep myself accountable too, man. I'm trying to video my workout to keep myself accountable.
I hear you. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Hope you enjoy this episode. Check out 13 Bar, and of course, Shelton will be back.
This episode is fueled by Frontier Coffee. Family owned, family operated. Fresh roasted coffee inspired by America's Wild West legends. Find Frontier on Facebook, Instagram, and online at frontiercoffee.com. Wake up and be legendary.